Hey YouTube, it's your girl Chic from Chic Say What. I am coming on live with you all tonight. I wanted to come with some updates about Wendy Williams, and we're going to add Nick Cannon to this. When I was researching Wendy Williams, Nick Cannon's name came up. So I want to talk about Wendy Williams, if and when she'll be returning back, why sis ain't returned back, and what the people gonna do if sis decides to not return back. And if her returning back, it will even be up to her. So it's kind of layers to this. Hey, Reg Rose, how are you? Yeah, we're going to get into it. I want to give it some time to let some things kind of come out pertaining to her. Did you guys hear anything? I got, of course, y'all know I'll be coming with my little receipts, my little articles. Did you guys hear anything about, I guess she was supposed to start the show and she was a no-show, and like her guests and things were like sitting outside, like waiting. We can't say in the cold yet because it ain't quite cold yet, but like they were waiting upwards of like 2 hours to be let into the studio, only to be told like, see what had happened was. So I have an article I'll share with that as well. So I want to talk about that. I also want to talk about her son. So I'm hearing, or what I learned is that little Kev Jr. is like, Mom, look at here. You got a lot going on and I need you to get it together. So, yeah, do that. And if you do not do that, then I don't know what to tell you. I'm done with you. So basically, in other words, he's kind of giving his mom an ultimatum. So, how do we feel about that? So, I got some, tea, some, receipts to kind of share on that, to talk about Kev Jr. because we hadn't really heard his name come up in all of this. Kev, he's living his life as he should. He's a young man, should be in like his early 20s. So, and the last I knew, he was a college student all in Florida, which is where his father is, and that chick he living with, playing house with their baby. Hey, Kareen, how are you? Welcome. Hey, you guys, as you come in, I ask, please like, share, subscribe if you aren't already. Hit the notification bell, but we're going to get into it. Y'all know how I do. You just don't know what you're going to get over here, but you're going to be quite entertained. There's no telling what I'm going to say. But yeah, so it's just layers to it. So we need to know, okay, Wendy, what's the deal? This new date has been pushed back. Okay. Was this new date pushed back before or after y'all left the people outside for 2 hours at the premiere of the show? So when did we decide, Wendy, it was going to be pushed back? When she didn't show up to work? When she wasn't at hair and makeup at 5 a.m. as scheduled? Like, when did we come to this conclusion that, you know what, yeah, the 4th, it ain't looking good. It ain't gonna happen. So I'm gonna get into it. We're gonna share some I'm gonna share some articles. Also, Nick Cannon name has been thrown around and about. So remember, was it like, I guess this was pre the pandemic. So I guess we talking about 2 years maybe when she was going through it and Nick Cannon set in for her. I'm going to say it's been about 2 years now. And he had set in for her. How long was it? Maybe like 4 or 6 weeks. So he set in for her. He held it down for her. Of course, this is after she had shaded the hell out of him when he was on her show, when she called his child, I guess the firstborn after the twins with Mariah, she referred to his child as an oops baby. So, that took the world out, because we were like, I think that was kind of much of our first time kind of hearing that terminology, oops baby. So that took on some legs on itself on when she called that man baby or oops baby. Reg Rose says, I would not be watching Nick Cannon show. Let the light brights support him, since that's who he caters to. Listen, you and me both. I wasn't even watching it when he was filling in for Wendy. I'm gonna say 2 years ago, because I'm not. Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, with the dates, but it seemed like it was about 2 years ago. I personally find the man to be quite corny. And Wendy's show was just never kind of one that I got into. I guess, because it was a daytime show. So sis was working. So the way my life was set up, my heels wasn't kicked up eating bonbons and popcorn and listen to her just talk about people. So that just wasn't what my life was about. So I just never got into her. But it was a very popular show. And of course, the things that kind of went viral pertaining to her show, of course, you would hear about that, like when she damn passed the hell out in that Statue of Liberty costume. Of course, that made its way to sis. Reg Rose says, I don't even like Wild 'N Out. I don't listen. I don't do anything pertaining to Nick Cannon. I don't do him. I don't support nothing about the man is appealing to me, period. I mean, so that has not changed. So apparently there's talks with not only him kind of doing a sit-in for Wendy, but to actually take over that time slot. So we'll get into it. So let me see. So what we're going to get into first. First, I want to get into the situation with Kev Jr., with her son. Like, Ma, I need you to get it all the way together or else. So I'm going to share my screen and show you guys like what I came up with when I researched that, because I had heard someone, reference something about, Kev giving Wendy not showing up to work because Kev Jr. gave his mama an ultimatum. So I'm like, word? Like, what that mean? What kind of ultimatum he giving? Because I'm sure she funding that whole little college life Boys Gone Wild experience at college. So what you talking about, what you ain't gonna do? So let me share this article that I found with Lil Kev Jr. and what he had to say in regards to his mama, allegedly. So I'm just gonna show the article. So this is on the US Sun. Let's get rid of this. So this is Wendy and her baby Kev Jr. looking just like his daddy. Family crisis. Troubled Wendy Williams' son, Kev Jr., 21, gave tough love and said he will not be in her life until she gets help. So this article is dated September 22nd. A source, so here's Wendy. A source close to the family exclusively told The Sun Wendy's relationship with Kev Jr. has been strained. He gave her an ultimatum. He told her he won't be in her life unless she fixes herself. So he's trying to tell Ma, you need to go find Ayanna because you need to fix your life, all of your life, not some of your life. You need to fix your entire life. So that's what I got from that quote, y'all. The source added the relationship has been rocky over the past few years. Her son has been doling out the tough love, telling Wendy, get yourself help, Mom. On Tuesday, the Daily Mail published photos of Wendy being pushed in a hospital in a wheelchair, wearing yellow socks and vaping in front of her New York City apartment. It was the first time the host has been spotted since last week. The Sun first broke that the 57-year-old host had been struggling leading up to her hospitalization for psychiatric issues last week. The Sun source partly defended Wendy's ex-husband and former manager, Kevin Hunter Sr., 49, for keeping the host circle small during their marriage. Everyone thinks that Kev has been the bad guy, and he's done his fair share of terrible things, but this is why he's always been so protective of her. Kevin didn't want the world to see who Wendy really is. He was protecting his family. What y'all think of that? So is Kev not complete scum after all because of him trying to quote unquote protect Wendy, protect her potential or alleged indiscretions? Like, was it out of love for Wendy, or was it out of listen, we need to protect this bag, so I'm gonna do my part in helping cover a lot of stuff up? You know, it can kind of go many different ways. Sources have told The Sun that Wendy is expected to be evaluated for weeks to determine what is going on with her, both mentally and physically. Wendy's battle. The source said the Wendy show's already delayed premiere could be pushed back yet again as she continues being evaluated. A source said that everyone is an enabler because they don't want to lose their job. They see it, they know it, they smelled the liquor. I've been saying that, like, because if she's that bad off to where she needs to go on treatment, this didn't come overnight. Like, this was something that was already apparent. It's just a matter of when someone decided to phone a friend, pick up the phone and say, yeah, I want to do an anonymous call. Sis over here need help. So to me, it was apparent that she wasn't getting the help that she'd been needing because she has so many people depending on her. And you think about it, that has to be a lot of pressure, like for Wendy herself, when it comes to her own emotional psychiatric care. It's like when you think about all these people that are dependent on you. So it's like, okay, it can kind of maybe be that catapult to kind of get you out of bed, because it's just like, okay, I can't just lay here and just feel depressed and drink, do whatever. I got people who are dependent on me, because if I'm not there making money for the show, they're not making money. So I gotta pull myself together. I gotta put this mask on that everything is all good. I got to make it do what it do. I have to. And for anybody who has tuned in to Wendy Williams' show just at least a few times, you can see the rapport that she has with her staff. I get the sense that it's like a family vibe situation with the little white chick, the blonde hair girl. And then her husband even works on set. And then you got the gay guy over there off to, like, it's all the banter, like they're all super close. And then when Kev Singer worked there, his name would be thrown out there. Like it was like a family, but that off, think about just your own personal workplace. And if you've been working someplace for years, as they say, you see your coworkers more hours during the day than your own family. So it become like your extended family. So I get that. And that's that added layer that makes this whole situation like just that much more disturbing, detrimental, like all of that. But at the end of the day, with that being said, like, I feel like Wendy, her care, her health, that all still has to come first. And if she's not in a position and healthy enough to do it, it's almost like with a parent or a mama, what they say, you got to take care of you first before you can take care of your children. Because if you're not healthy and strong or here, what's going to happen to your babies? So it's, to me, I look at it, use that same analogy with Wendy when it comes to her job. Where, okay, if I ain't got my stuff together, if my stuff ain't straight, then this over here is not going to be straight. So it's kind of layered, like multi-layered levels to the whole situation. And hopefully even just with the extensions, that care part is taking place. We can only hope and pray Reg Rose says, wasn't Kev Jr. addicted to K2 a while ago? I don't know, because I never really followed Kev Jr., so I don't know really a whole lot about him. I just remember when his mom and daddy was going through it, and him and his daddy got into a fight, like, I think it was caught on camera in the parking lot. And I just think he was like, in his feelings about how, it never truly kind of came out like why Kev Sr. and Kev Jr. was fighting in the parking lot, but many speculated it was just behind just him, Kev Jr. being in his feelings about the treatment Kev Sr. was given to his mom, the embarrassment, the cheat, all of that stuff. But I didn't know about Kev Jr., being addicted to anything. But, in these days and times, just see, I wouldn't be surprised, I would not the least bit surprised. And then don't they say like addiction is something that's like hereditary? So that's another thing. Like I'll hear people to be like, I don't even drink because, my mother was an alcoholic. And I just, because I hear like, I've heard that before, like how addiction can kind of be hereditary and things. So just even from, Wendy's own admittance, she suffered from addiction, but what's arguable is like, okay, is this still suffering from addiction? Because it's like before, it's like she would tell it as though it was kind of like part of her past. But what's coming out is that past is not so much the past. It's kind of still very much so her present. But it's been kind of kept a secret to keep, the whole facade of, Wendy just doing the doggone thing, her being successful, this, that, and the third. And as we're seeing the way her life and things are spiraling out, that Houston, we have a problem. And she ain't in rehab getting makeovers. There's a reason why she is currently somewhere getting help. So you ain't going through that type of experience unless something is going on with you where there is something, an issue on the table that needs to be dealt with. So that's that part pertaining to Wendy and Kev Jr. I definitely, as a mother, I just can't imagine, being given an ultimatum from my child where it's pertaining to something that I'm struggling with. However, I'm not mad at Kev Jr. at the same time, because I would imagine it has to be very hard for him to see his mother in the current situation that she's in. And then to know, because he's a big boy, he's a man now. He understands that this battle she's dealing with, these struggles she's dealing with, there are things that she has to muster up the energy to fight. It's nothing that someone can fight for her. It's not a battle that he can fight for his mother, because as a child, I would imagine, of course, like if it's something he can fight for her and protect her from, he would do it, but he can't. That strength has to come from Wendy. And sometimes that can be, something that falls in that tough love category. Almost like, I think more often than not, we probably hear about cases where a parent is telling their child that you get it together. I'm cutting you off. I'm not giving you anything. But I can't really think of an instance where, especially, I guess that's made it out to just the media, where it was in the reverse, where it was like the child giving the mom the ultimatum. Like we all, any of you used to follow like Keisha Cole, and she had her reality show, and Frankie, may she rest in peace. She had her struggles, and Keisha would have these tough conversations with her mom. And there's been times where, over the years where Keisha would have these spurts of where she's not messing with her mom. Like, because it just has to, I just can only imagine, like, it's something that's really draining on a child to see your mother struggling with something, an addiction, and something that can be overcome, but that it comes from a strength that only they possess, that they gotta exhibit. Like you can't heal someone. That's the thing. And then another part is you can't be ready for change for someone also. Like I can't be ready for something for my child that they're not ready for. It doesn't work that way. So it comes from the individual who's dealing with whatever the situation is. We can't deal with things for other people. It's only a certain extent that you can do something for somebody. Like you can financially, do things for somebody. But when it comes to like a psychological, emotional, like we can't think for other people like that or feel for other people like that. That's that work that comes from us as individuals. So I know it had to be tough for him to say something like that. And for somebody to make a comment like that, that means that you've been witnessing this person spiral out of control for a long time, because people don't give. It's just not the norm for people to just out the gate give an ultimatum on a one-off instance, like one time you feel. No, that type of talk is typically coming into play when there's been multiple instances where we've had conversations where you said you was going to do better, where you said you were going to get help. These, that's typically when you don't follow through with those things, those promises, because a lot of times with people, and you guys can maybe vouch, where people who do suffer from addiction, a lot of time it comes with, they become habitual liars, where they'll say they're going to do something or they did something and it's not true. Like, I don't know any instance where I've seen someone who has like an addiction with some type of substance and they weren't a habitual liar. Like, it kind of go hand in hand. Like, you be lying, and because I guess we wouldn't be here if you wouldn't lying all the time, because more often than not, it starts from the person saying what they not gonna do no more, and then they still do it. So you lying, bro. You lying, sis. Like, you lying. So that's a part of that. So when your loved ones say, such as your child, and y'all, mind you, he's the only child, so he's carrying this weight alone. He's the only child. Think, how many of us, or most people aren't the only child. You have some type of sibling, a support system. So say if you are dealing with your parents, or your mom or dad, and you share that parent, you're able to tackle it together. You're not taking on that weight alone. So Kev Jr. is taking on the weight alone with his mom. So that has to be heavy. Plus being a student. Plus, trying to accept, okay, my father has moved on. He has his own life. I now have a baby sister. So when I say he's the only child between Wendy Williams and Kev. He's Wendy's only child, but now he has a little sister. So he's experiencing a lot of change right now. So even with that type of change, the change that started when he was a teenager, even that type of change, that has to be psychological for him, because it's like, wow, my dad has this baby now, this baby which was made on my mom, this baby that's now my little sister that I have to love and protect. Okay. And this is her mother. So, okay, I still got to show her some level of respect. This is who my father's choosing to be with. And I'm sure at this point, Kev Jr. and Kev Sr. can have these sit down conversations to talk about what went wrong as to why his parents aren't together. And who knows, maybe this whole addiction thing that Wendy is battling, that has been a thing during the marriage and it was taking toll on the marriage. We don't know, but it's very viable, because an addict is not going to be able to successfully be in a relationship with someone who's not an addict. Like, how does that work? Like, someone who's not an addict is not even trying to date somebody who's an addict. What do we got to talk about? Like, that just don't even work. Typically, addicts link up together. And let's just say at one point, say Kev Sr. was about that life doing certain things. He may very well kind of stopped, but she didn't. You see how that goes? So where a lot of times you might at one point have two addicts together. I've seen people who were both about that life. One gets cleaned up and wants more out of life, and then the other one is still with the shits and want to kind of continue to live that life. So it don't work no more because somebody has like outgrown that situation. And so we don't know if maybe that could have played a part with Kev Sr. and Wendy's relationship. Just even going off of that last article that we just went over. Read the comments. Reg Rose says, yeah, it says a lot if her son is low-key forcing his mom to get some help. Yes. This is his mom. So we say, well, he 21. I mean, we might have heard these few stories about Wendy or whatever, but he lived it. He was raised by it. He was raised by it. So it's on a different level. It's like, just think about, I guess, being raised by an addict. Like, what that look like? Reg Rose says, if I was Kev Jr., I would have beef with my dad for having a baby on my mom. Funny how that actually did happen to my own mom, to be honest. Well, if you recall Reg Jr. when they got into that fight in the parking lot? That was captured on camera. It was like at nighttime or something. Kev Sr. had picked Kev Jr. up from somewhere, and it looked like they made their way. I don't know, like as though they were in a parking lot of a store or something. But they got into it in a parking lot, like fist. And people just were speculating that it could have been just because, and this was coming off of right after, like, I think Wendy acknowledging the fact that, because y'all know Wendy was like, had a serious case of denial in the beginning when it came to Kev Sr.'s infidelity. Listen, everybody's stuff made it to that damn Hot Topics, and she kept it real and seeing things crystal clear with everybody else's life. But when it was her turn on her own show, y'all seen how she doggone hopscotched and hula hooped around the subject, would still wear her ring and say, well, as long as I'm wearing this ring. Meanwhile, you had Tasha K over there doing phone calls to the hospital where the side chick was in the hospital giving birth to her then soon to be, I guess, stepchild. So she was looking real crazy because it's like, sis, you on here saying one thing to save face, but out here you got somebody else out there debunking everything that you're saying. And it got to a point to where she couldn't even hide it or cover it up anymore because it was so blatant. And next thing you know, hell, she was in rehab. Like, it's so they did have their headbutt. But Reg, I don't know if now Kev Jr. is now at a point where it's just like, okay, that's my parents' life. Daddy sat down with me. We had our first man-to-man talk. Their relationship did not work. Possibly, as we're talking about, the struggle with substance abuse could have led or it contributed to that. And Kev Sr.'s like, listen, I wasn't happy in that situation. I'm happy in this situation. And I just ask that you respect that and you allow for me to live my life, and then you allow for me in another breath, be your father, those to be two different things. My personal life with my family over here and me being there as your father, those are going to be, two different types of conversation. You still can be a good parent to your child without being with that child's mother or father. We all know that's a thing. But naturally, a lot of times children would like to, especially if they've seen their parents at one point together, they prefer to see their parents together. And Kev Jr. was raised with both of his parents. So I would imagine that's his preference because that's all he's seen. But now as him being a man, it's like he's now dealing with these life lessons of seeing like, damn, people don't always work out, including my parents. And even Kev, him being in the house, I'm sure he's seen certain dysfunctional things. But you know how you dismiss it? Or if he's a gamer, he in his room, let me put my headphone, my Beats by Dre on, and let me just game it out. You know how kids will do things to distract themselves from the damn foolery, the dysfunction. We've seen that before. Some of us may have even experienced that before. You just do whatever you need to do mentally and emotionally to navigate through that situation, because as children, we don't have the choice decision on who our parents choose to bring around us. We just hope that our parents got enough sense to recognize when they have their children at risk and in an unhealthy situation. And a lot of times the parents are too idiotic to even realize that, or too slow to even change the situation. And that's where we get all kinds of abuse taking place with the children and things like that. So it's levels, that's probably like a whole nother video. But what I'm saying is that now Kev Jr. is a man now. He's a young man. And the hard reality he's had to learn is that relationships do not always work. Reg said, no, I don't remember that story, Sheik, but I can totally see Kev Senior roughing his son up. Definitely seems like a toxic male influence. Yes. Look that one up. Just Google like Kev Jr. and Kev Senior get into a fight. It'll come up. Of course, it was a whole mess, I'm like, Lord, but like right around that time, that was when Wendy was kind of coming to starting to accept Kev Senior is out there. Like, I think, that realization came for her right around that time when the YouTuber Kasha K confirmed that Sharina, Kev Senior's now lady, girlfriend, whatever we want to call her, when she was in the hospital. I want to say, coming off of that story, that's when I did not hear Wendy giving justifications anymore. Because at that point, it was out. So sis, like, what else is there to say? So then from there, it was more so about Wendy starting to spiral. And then when she did come back to work, she kind of make these low blow comments about Kev and Sharina. Yeah, you know how Wendy do. So they would make it, they would be a topic of discussion. And she didn't have her big old Easter egg looking ring on anymore. So yeah, that was a real thing, check that out. But I mean, the next article I want to get into, I want to show you about, the whole return of Wendy Williams, and the damn fan's been left outside for like 2 hours. Somebody had to pee. The way my bladder work, I know I had to pee during 2 hours. No. Can I come in and use the bathroom? Can I come in and use the bathroom? I got to pee. I know that would have been me. And I ain't even pregnant. This bladder ain't, listen, like a doggone 65-year-old woman. So Daily Mail says exclusive Wendy Williams fans who were invited to the taping of her season 13 premiere are turned away after the troubled host failed to show up. Why we ain't showing up? We didn't know that day before that we wasn't coming to work. Wendy Williams has canceled filming of the new season. So let's see. This article is dated September 30th. So it says Wendy Williams has canceled filming of the new season of her much postponed talk show once again after she failed to show up to studio for shooting Thursday morning. Fans who had lined up outside the Chelsea studio in New York had already been issued with tickets and wristbands and signed appearance waivers to be part of the first show of season 13 when a member of the staff made the shock announcement that the star wasn't coming and the filming was canceled. When did y'all know that sis wasn't coming to work? Are y'all legit like playing this on a day by day? Like, y'all ain't know that she wasn't coming to work. Y'all already knew she had been at the facility. How y'all didn't know this woman wasn't coming to work, and y'all didn't hand out tickets and wristbands and all kinds? Like, I don't understand how y'all didn't know she wasn't coming to work. I'm wondering, did y'all conclude she wasn't coming to work when she didn't show up and she wasn't answering her phone when y'all was hitting her up? That part, like, was she just straight ignoring y'all? Did she have her phone on silence? Was she pulling a Kelly Price on her? Listen, that's a whole, y'all, I'm so in my feelings dealing with Kelly Price. I was talking we might even talk about her in this video because I had to really kind of woo-saw on that one. Let's move on. Wendy has tested negative for the C. The staffer told the disappointed crowd who had waited more than 2 hours for admission, but her health is still not great and she wants to be better than ever when she comes back. What it says, earlier, a member of the staff had told fans to think of questions for the Ask Wendy section, telling them that it was her favorite and that she was looking forward to getting all your questions. Little Wendy. Now, how they didn't know that lady wasn't showing up to work is beyond me. It's beyond me. So this is what was posted. Wendy will not be returning, excuse me, with the new shows on October 4th. So that's Monday, y'all. She has been and continues to be under a doctor's care and is still not ready to return to work. We plan to return with new shows on October 18th. Her breakthrough C case is no longer an issue and she has tested negative, but she is still dealing with some ongoing medical issues. So a statement posted on Instagram shortly after said she has been and continues to be under doctor's care and is still not ready to return to work. We plan to return to new shows October 18th. Her breakthrough C case is no longer an issue and she has tested negative, but is still dealing with some ongoing medical issues. So basically how we got this far with them thinking that sis was going to be ready to show up to work on Thursday is beyond me. Like where was we? What gave us that impression that that was going to pop off? Like what kind of preparation y'all got going on behind the scenes to where y'all didn't know already that that wasn't happening? Or like I said, did she just ghost you, like stop answering her phone? Them people was out there for 2 hours. Y'all handing out tickets and wristbands. That mean the staff, from what they know, the show must go on. The show is going on. So for her not to show up, like, make it make sense. Make it make sense. So at this point, I feel like y'all don't need to be throwing out even any dates. What, 2 weeks from now, the 18th? Y'all think she gonna be good by the 18th to come and get on that stage and talk about folks? And y'all know how Black Twitter is. Let her to the first person people she start talking about. Y'all don't think the folks gonna go in on her and her mental health? Because y'all know. Because who was that? Was that Jocelyn Hernandez? Somebody went in and they did a low blow with her medical condition or something. She pissed somebody off, and they clapped back by talking about her her medical condition or something with her legs. You know, yeah, I don't know. She got varicose vein. I don't know. She got something going on her legs, I think. And they said something like that. So y'all don't think that as soon as this woman come back to work and she make the least slight comment about a celebrity, they not finna get on their socials and go in on any of this? Because there's so much material out here that you can go in on. You can go in from that wig that we see that's at least looking brushed down from the one I showed in my last video where she was getting walked up in the institute. They can go in on that and go in on them damn legs. Y'all look at them legs. Listen, they go in on the fact that she just in the institute, period. There's so much that they can go in on her to where that might be a whole nother setback for sis and have her asking for another 2 weeks at the institute, another bed. That's the thing. It's like when you build a platform where you're talking about people are waiting for the first sign to show that you're down, because they coming for you. That's just a natural instinct. Just think about just anybody, period. If somebody's coming for you and then you see something that ain't on the up and up with them, yeah, you're gonna naturally take a dig at them for that. Like, fair game. It's fair exchange. Like, if you come at me, you can't, what they say, if you hit me, you can't try to dictate how hard I hit you. Like, oh, well, I didn't hit you that hard. A hit is a hit. It's, so it's like, if you come at me, you can't be trying to get upset in your feelings about, okay, how hard I came back at you. Oh, well, that was a low blow. Like, that's the chance you take when you come for somebody. They gonna come hard. That the person, if you got some sin, you finna come harder. You finna really hurt their feelings to the core. So I feel like when Wendy come back, when she gets back into doing what it is she do, that is what's going to happen. And that's just going to be a whole nother kind of setback where we're going to need to be bringing Nick Cannon, Mariah, one of the 18 baby mamas back to sit in. Somebody going to be back sitting in for her because it's going to be a whole setback. So should they be putting out dates? 18? No, I don't think so. I think we need to just charge October to the game. Go ahead and charge that to the game. We ain't even really throwing no dates out of return. Either you gonna get somebody to sit in for her, whether it be, um, corny Nick Cannon or whoever. I think that's a better look than you throwing out these dates and then having to come back and be like, you know what? No, we still ain't ready. Because people gonna be like, what the heck? They really finna be looking solid, like, okay, come on now. What the hell? What's going on? People gonna lose their patience. People gonna start speculating. Like, it's not gonna be a good look. So I just feel like they shouldn't put a date out right now. I think they should monitor her recovery first, see what, a doctor's recommendation based off of her being released from a doctor care, whatever. But to me, the show is just putting out these dates, kind of trying to be hopeful versus going off of just the reality of the situation. It's like we got these serious cases of denial going on that I see. Reg Rose says, do you think these photos of Wendy are staged? It looks unnatural. I don't know, because you never know in Hollywood. Half the stuff, more, I would say probably like 90% of the stuff I see in Hollywood, I believe is staged. I just, I don't know. Hollywood is Hollywood to me. And I mean, I think Wendy truly is going through it. Whether or not this picture depicts it or not sure. But just given with her personal life with Kev Sr., is understandable for her to be going through it. But as we're just seeing a lot, just dealing with celebrities, it's put out there. One thing is a situation, and then we come to learn that it's not, So I don't know with this one. But I feel like just with her life, as what we've seen played out, it's enough for it to be believable, for this to be her situation and all of that. Just from what we've seen and the things that she's admitted to. Reg Rose says, I don't care how many times she changes her dates, I would still watch her over Nick. Yeah, I would watch Wendy. I would watch Wendy over Nick. I don't rock with Nick, I just don't do it. I don't know how those ratings were in general. I mean, I guess they must have been pretty okay or decent when he was holding it down for her. He has a pretty big fan base. I don't know how it is these days with the shenanigans and stuff he, been going through, doing and stuff. So I don't, the people I talk to a lot don't really rock with Nick Cannon, but it's not a whole lot of people. So, he still got Wild 'N Out that's on there. So, he's still making money, getting offers, doing what the white man want him to do so he can kind of keep his position in the industry. But I think, a lot of Black people are like side-eyeing him. But as they say, we're not the ones that's writing his checks. So he's still, his priority to me appears to be evident that it's about, pleasing the man to get paid so he can take care of all these kids that he's making all over the globe. Reg Rose says the people Wendy is working with are using her. Wendy is a check for them all. I believe that. Reg Rose says, I'm loving the Versace jacket she got on in the wheelchair, though. Wendy may be going through it, but she still is still fabulous. Yeah. Wendy is gone with who is that? Kenya Moore call it Gone with the Wind. Wendy is gone with the wind, fabulous. So yeah, she's still a very rich, a very wealthy woman that's going to have some type of, requirements and things like that. And it's still playing out, even with her being at her lowest. She's still gonna want to, she's still gonna want her nice things. So, rightfully so. I mean, she's worked hard. She's been in the game for a very long time. She's definitely earned everything that she has. Let me see. There's one more article I want to share with you, and this is the one pertaining to Nick Cannon. Let me see. So this is on radaronline.com. Nick Cannon is set to replace Wendy Williams' time slot if her show ends up being a no-go following continued health concerns. So this was published today. It says Nick Cannon could potentially be a replacement for Wendy Williams amid her continued health concerns. Show execs are rushing to think of a backup plan since the season 13 premiere has already been delayed several times. An insider revealed to Page Six that executives have been talking. They are keeping a close eye on Williams' recovery and hoping for the best. But they pushed back her show premiere several times, so they are already thinking of a backup plan. A source also claimed that Nick had been their top choice so far to take over her time slot due to his popularity. It's been quoted as saying it would not be a far stretch for Nick to take her time slot. Deb Mercury, which produces both shows, is really pushing to make Nick Cannon's show a huge success, the source added. He already has a major platform and a huge fan base, so it is an easy win. So if Wendy's show ends up being a no-go, their backup plan is already set. So, there you go. Like, Nick's, his popularity is still out there. He's a very rich man. Many people don't really mess with him like that, but there are a lot of people who do. I think right now, Nick Cannon's largely his fan base is probably like your millennials, like your younger 20 somethings year olds, maybe early 30s. So I think it's going to be the millennials, those, who's still into that whole wilding out, who watches that, the urban crowd. So I just think he gotta, as far as people with his age group, he's probably like around my age, so your 40s plus. I don't really think they too much rock with Nick like that, but I can definitely see the younger, group of people, rocking with Nick like that to be checking for anything that he does. Especially, he out here making these babies all over the place. So I'm sure you got a good number of girls out there, Instagram models, who hoping that they hit the lotto and become baby mama number 12, and pop out some triplets instead of twins. So, you got some girls out there who dreams are to be a baby mama for a celebrity. Unfortunately, but it is a real thing, because if it wasn't, we wouldn't see it so often. So it's like to be a baby mama to a celebrity. It's like a badge of honor. Somehow it gives you clout, you worth, you somebody. So, he's still very popular. But it'll be interesting to see how it plays out as far as with Nick. If it'll initially start out with, okay, Nick sitting in for Wendy, and then what they transition and say, hey, we got an update, a surprise for you all. This is just we're going to change this to the Cannon show. I don't know what they would call it. So are they going to hit him with it like that? Or are they going to bypass, him sitting in for Wendy, and then now we just got the Cannon show? We got to see how it's going to go down. So Reg Rose says, I am going through it in my personal life, so I'm glad you decided to go live tonight. You're a blessing in disguise, Chic. Much success to your channel, and I'm here for the ride. I appreciate you, Reg Rose. That's what I'm here. I'm here to serve the people. Good luck with everything. Keep God first. Good luck with everything. And I'm the same with Wendy. When we're down on our luck, sometimes you find yourself to where you just got to reach for a higher power, where the people in front of you, it's not enough. You got to reach for something just bigger than that. Where you just got to have the faith. It's about what you can't even see. So I just know that just from experience, where you're just calling on him to give you strength. What they say, asking you shall receive. And that's what we're dealing with. I feel like, with Wendy has to ask to receive. And in the midst of that, listen to what's been delivered to her and put forth the actions that he is instructing for her to do. So it's beyond asking and receiving. You got to listen to, Reg, you amen to that, right? Amen to that. You got to listen to. You got to ask. You need to listen. You receive. Like it's a whole process, and you got to get all that down packed for you to really see some things moving. And that's what I feel like that whole part right there is what Wendy is missing, because that whole part that I just described has absolutely nothing to do with money and resources. Nothing. All of that has nothing to do with where your physical location is, what your bank account look like, what kind of jacket you rolling out of a hospital in. It's not about none of that. It's just about you calling on that creator for strength, because you at a weak point and you just can't do it. Like it was like, I can't do it. I need help. Lord Jesus, give me strength. Give me strength. And and that's a real thing. Give me strength. Shit. Y'all better listen to some meditation music. Find something, just vibe out. Like that really can give you life, can really make a difference. Woosah, you got a woosah. When you need a woosah, Reg Rose, you got a woosah. Everybody, anybody listening, you got a woosah, because you got to try to disconnect, because life can be overwhelming. So just think about us, with just us everyday people, how overwhelming things can be for us. So somebody on the level of Wendy Williams, and then as we talked about, she got all these people who are depending on her. Like they got to be something to where you're going through something, but at the same time, you got all these adult people, not kids, but adult people who are dependent on you. I told y'all, hell, she got a couple that work for her. That's a husband and a wife dependent on her. I can't remember the little blonde hair girl that be on set with her doing, I don't know what the heck she is, but she be talking to her a lot. And then the lady have said her husband works there too. He's like behind the stage or whatever. So if Wendy ain't there putting on the Wendy show, that's two incomes impacted, y'all, because they both work for the same person. Two incomes. Susan, Reg Rose, you say, yes, Susan. I like her energy. You could tell like, her and Wendy be vibing. And they've talked with Susan, because I think Susan, the way it used to be, it's like Susan's husband was real tight with Wendy. And then Kev Sr. was real tight with Susan. So you know how with the personality, I got you, Reg Roy said Susan, with the personality, it just with the two couples, like they would vibe. But like I said, it'd be like that. Reg Rose, I never knew the husband's name. Sometimes maybe a time or two I heard them mention his name. I might have even seen his face come onto the camera briefly. But you can just tell, like I said, when you in a work environment, your coworkers, excuse me, become like your family. So you can tell like Wendy really cares about, her staff, and that, they care about her too, but at the same time, they trying to protect they check too. So it ain't gonna be no conversation of Wendy go sit down somewhere or Wendy retire. No, that's not gonna be the conversation. The conversation gonna be Wendy get some rest, sleep over the weekend. I see you on Monday. It's gonna be different than say a conversation if she were to have with somebody who's not dependent on her, who don't need her for anything, where we can be straight truthful, because it's like, well, I don't need her for anything, so I can keep it real. I don't have to be worried about my job being on the line or how she feel. That's us out here. We don't have nothing to be afraid of. But those people who work for her, it's a different story. That's a household that's dependent. And I'm sure collectively that couple, that's well over 100,000. They probably knocking on 200, close to $200,000 that they make between them as a husband and wife off of, working for Wendy. They earning a check, they working for, but the point is that they both have this couple both have the same employer. So that means they're both dependent on that employer. And most couples don't work for the same employer, that part. So if one couple may lose their job, that other spouse may still have theirs. That's the more likely scenario. But in that situation, that's a husband and wife that are both dependent on Wendy. You think that stuff don't cross Wendy's mind? So It's a lot, and we can only just keep her lifted in prayer, and hope that he gives her strength. And I really am prayerful for her relationship with her son to be strengthened, because I can't imagine, I guess, even with her trying to go through this whole recovery and not having her son there, or support there coming from him as she go through it, because she's already a single woman, so she already doesn't have like anybody at home or like a spouse to hold her hand to help her through it. She don't have that anymore. She just has hired help. She just has people who are paid to be around her, not people that's actually like her. In this situation, it's people who are being paid. Okay, I'm paid to like you, so if you're gonna pay me $90,000 to like you, to sit here, okay, I'll like you. Like, it's legit, like that serious. Like, that's really what we're dealing with. She's paying people to like her. She's paying people to care or give a damn, like that. She's paying for all of this. You think she don't know this? She knows this. She feels it. Like, she know, like, you wouldn't be here if I wasn't writing your check. Come on now, you don't care. Like, you don't think Wendy was slick as her mouth is? She ain't saying that to these people when she getting her feelings about anything at any time. When the people asking her to do something, or they trying to portray like they care, and you don't think she calling them out on that? Like, you don't care what I do. You just here because they called you, and you. Wendy real slick at the mouth. I bet you she getting people the blues, and people who are trying, they're trying to be a support even if they are on payroll. I bet you she be giving them the business. You can tell. You can tell by her energy. She doesn't come off to me as being like, you ever be around some people or pick up an energy that they don't seem like they're the most pleasant person to be around? It's almost like they just got a chip on their shoulder all the time, and you're just like, why, damn, why they all like, what are you mad about today? What? Because it's Wednesday? Like, because it's just like, damn, you always mad. When are you happy? Like, I picked that up from Wendy, that she's just never like just happy. And that comes from it. Happiness comes from within. Somebody can't make you happy. It starts from within. So Wendy has a lot to work on, just as many people do. But Wendy, since she is the topic of our discussion, she has a lot to work on. And I hope during this healing process, she comes to realize that and accept that that is the case, that she has a lot to work on. And she's going to finally have to just prioritize that and work on these things if she want to stick around, if she wants longevity, just not just with her career, but just life. Like, right now, to me, these are life dependency things. Like, these struggles that she had, these are things that are impacting her life, the quality of her life. Like, sis, you do want to be around here to 85, 90, don't you? Like, you want to be around at least as long as what your mama was. I don't know how old her mom was when she passed, but like, I know, like, you want to be around for as long as you possibly can. So, okay, what are we doing to make that happen? Like, there's some work that we got to do. And it's time for Wendy to put that work in. Anybody who's listening, if this message for you, it's time for you got to put that work in. No better time than today. Because time is still going. That's the thing. We may stop and want to lay in the bed with her, but you know what? Time is still going. That clock's still ticking. The calendar is still moving. The world don't stop. Just because you choose to stop, that everything else didn't stop. So we have to kind of keep that in perspective as we're going through things, to where we can't just lay down in a fetal position. You probably can do that for about 30 seconds, but then you got to get back up, because the world is still going on. You got to get back up and brush yourself off and get back in the ring. Period. Like, you have to. That's life. We're all in survival mode. It's life. Life isn't easy. It's not easy, but as they say, it is what you make of it. So there are things that we can do to simplify things, to make things more easy, or easier than, what they've been. So, it's up to us to figure out, okay, what that means for us. What can we do? What are some things we can do different? Definition of insanity: doing that same thing over and over again. and expecting a different outcome. It's time for Wendy to switch it up and do something different because her outcome is continuously the same. So that means she's doing the same things. She has to start doing something different so she can get a different outcome. Reg Rose says her husband's name is Brendan. That sounds about right, Brendan. I think I heard Susan saying Brendan. Yeah, they seem like a beautiful couple who is dependent upon our girl Wendy Williams. Who is dependent upon Wendy Williams, as many of us are, dependent upon our employers. But it's just that household solely is dependent on a single employer. So that makes for it to be very kind of dangerous, from a financial standpoint for that. And that's just one household. There might be, because a lot of people date people on the job. So there's probably other couples who work for Wendy. Those are just the ones that are visible that we see. But there's probably other couples. Clearly, she allowed what they call it nepotism. I don't know what you call it. Is it nepotism or something where they allow you to, have your spouse or family, because some companies don't allow you to have family members work, for the same employer, or they might say you got to work in like a different department. But clearly, Wendy don't have a rule like that. She let family work there because that's a couple that work there. So that's just one couple. So we're going to keep sis lifted. Like I said, I'll probably do another video too. Maybe, we'll see if I can get it in this weekend or maybe early next week. I want to do an update on Kelly Price. She came out talking about that she's here in the flesh. She's not missing. She wasn't lost. Her daughter was just manipulated. And no, she knew her daughter, no, I didn't know. That's a lie. Nobody didn't manipulate me. So I'm so over that story. Listen, y'all, I had to woosah when I kind of was hearing the updates on that because I really didn't appreciate how our girl Nikki Gilbert was looking out there in these streets and the brat and Big Booty Judy just straight snapping on her. I didn't think that was warranted. That was yes, Missing Person Live 2.0, Reg Rose. I'm like, when I say I was so disgusted, I called my mom. I'm sorry, I was most disgusted at, just Kelly Price. I understand, sis, that you weren't feeling good, but listen, you knew the damn world was looking for you. While you sitting eating your damn bonbon, whatever you eating your liquor, and then you got you had your phone with you. At any point, you could have dropped a line on your social. I'm good. I ain't telling y'all where I'm at, but I'm good. But no, you just letting the world just go ham. And now your friends are getting, I think what made her really come out is just when she's seeing that her friends was getting into it, where she was seeing Nikki getting that heat from the public or the brat. And then she was like, oh, shoot, I got to say something. But that's the reason why I think she really kind of said something when she did, because I don't know, for some reason, it just gives me I want to get people, I want to do a publicity. So I want to get people saying my name, talking about me vibe. Because I said, if sis come out with an album, a Christmas album as a stocking stuffer, I'm done. On the husband new label that supposedly, allegedly she bought for him, I'm done. If she come out with a new album in the next 6 months, I'm done. To me, sis was probably at the studio this whole time recording music. I was just so done with it all. So yeah, I might, go ahead and do a second video on that. Research, get my receipts together, as far as, what Nikki had to say, what Kelly's daughter had to say, the brat, it was just a whole bunch. So if y'all been following that, but, so I might, like I said, come back on one day, in the next day or so and do another live on that, because I want to really kind of hit on Wendy tonight. And I didn't want this live to be too long, the missing person live, because that, that other missing person live was like 2 hours. So I was like, okay, I'm going to separate it. But yeah, I think I'm going to come back and talk about that. But yes, you guys, if you can, please like, share, subscribe, drop a comment. Thank you for, my new subs and, those who are still been rocking with me. I am trying to grow this thing and get the information out there for you guys. Retro said, yeah, I think Kelly was liking people talking about her because nobody was talking about her for years. Right. What they say, bad publicity is what they say is better than no publicity. So it's just about getting your name out there. And I feel like I feel like she had gotten sick, but I feel like the whole MIA, missing in action part, that's the part that she kind of threw on top of that. So, and it did get people, my thing is it worked. It got people talking, but at the expense of what? Like your 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 friends getting put out there on Front Street getting talked. Like look look how it impacted the people you supposedly care about. That's the thing. Just so you can, and I don't think that she thought about it like that. You know, sometimes you have this great idea like, oh, I'm gonna do this, but you're not thinking about the domino effect that it can have on like your loved ones, like other people. You just in that moment thinking about self. And I truly believe that because I do not feel like Kelly was like thinking about like the other people. I think she just thought it was a good idea and she was thinking about self. And then it was more of an afterthought, like, oh, snap, I guess I didn't really think this one through. But I mean, I just felt really bad for, you know, her girl, Nikki Gilbert, because I believe everything she was saying. And she was just trying to be a friend to Kelly and be there for Kelly's daughter. Nikki didn't have to do that, but she did. And in this whole situation, I'm believing everything that she is saying because it makes sense. Kelly stuff on the other end, that shit don't damn make sense. So yeah, I'm gonna have to get all my stuff together, come back and try to talk about that with you guys because that was some bull. I didn't like that at all. And as I read the comments on a lot of other things, like a lot of people kind of seen it like that and was like feeling like Kelly could have done more or said something sooner than what she did. Period. She could have. She really could have. So, you know, it's just that's that, you know, that Hollywood life, the things that people ain't got no shame. They'll do whatever they can to kind of, you know, get their name out there. You know, what they say, you Hollywood, you so Hollywood. KP showed that she is definitely Hollywood. Reg Rose says, do you watch The Real Housewives? Would love to see you do lives discussing that. You know what? Last night, y'all, I was, you know, it was my anniversary yesterday, my 17-year wedding anniversary. I've been saying that in my videos. I've been married almost 17 years. Yes, so that was yesterday, October 1st. And I went to Nini's. So I don't know if you guys know, you know, I live in Georgia, you know, Metro Atlanta. I'm actually not that far from where Nini lives. And Nini has a local restaurant called the Lenithia. The Lenithia. So it's like the Lenithia or the Lenithia Lounge. So Lenithia is her government. That's her real name. So my husband and I, you know, we went ahead and checked out our spot because we were like, okay, what are we going to do? You know, we want to kind of do something close to home. And it's right, you know, where we live in Georgia, which is near where, you know, Nini lives. And we checked it out and I had a good time. And she came through. Nini was in there. She walked in, tall lady. I'd seen her before at her other establishment. She had a boutique here by one of my offices for work. I'd seen her before. And it was just like one day my nail salon was like next door to her boutique. And I pulled up and I was sitting in the car for some reason. I don't know what I was doing, probably changing shoes or something because I was going to get my toes done or something. And I just see this big Amazon tall person standing. It just looked so out of place, y'all, just standing in the parking lot. And the person, you know, just looked glam up, like they had heavy makeup on, nice clothes, tall. It was just something that looked out of place to me. Like, what the hell? Because mind you, this is just a random day. And then my brain clicked and I'm like, wow, that's Nini. She was just very tall and she was on the phone. But it just looks so weird because she just looks Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? It just didn't look like just your regular everyday person you pass by. So like I said, last night I was at her spot and it was real cool. And if you're familiar with Housewives, the very first couple of seasons of Housewives of Atlanta, because you know that's where we live, do you remember Lisa Wu? So she's the ex-wife of Keith Sweat. She came through. She was in there. I saw her last night. I didn't get pictures of Lisa Wu. I got pictures, got pictures of Nene and then Nene's son. What's his name? Brent with the baby. The baby, he's 22 now. He was in there. And then I want to say it might have been Margot, the other house that because I seen this other lady that I would see on the Housewives because I used to follow the Housewives heavy when it first came out, maybe like the first 6 seasons, and then I kind of fell off because it was just they was just doing the most on there, and I was like, I can't do this no more. I was kind of building my family, having children, and going to school. Like that wasn't a priority no more. Watching that stuff, it just became too ratchet. But I think her name was Margot because I think she's not a peach holder, but she be on there sometime. But I think I saw her in there too, sitting at the table with Nene. Happy anniversary, Chic. Thank you. I heard of a new lounge. That's so cool. You got to go there. I wished I lived in Atlanta. Yes, because I was telling my sister, I was like, yeah, we want to get out and go somewhere tonight, but we got an early morning because for our kids, they play sports and stuff for Saturday. And I was like, yeah, and also, so my birthday is this month, so I'm a Scorpio. My birthday is October 25th. So I was telling my sister, I was like, yeah, think about some places we can go for my birthday because in Atlanta it's always popping, it's always something to do, and I always like to try a new spot. Like I still need to get to K Michelle's spot that's here in Atlanta. Still never got to if T.I. have a spot. I don't know if he still has one, but never still got to. So I've checked out a lot of spots, but then I haven't got a chance to check out a lot of spots. So, and then, with this whole pandemic, so my sister was like, well, yeah, you can go to Nene's spot tonight. She was like, it's just right over such and such in, Gwinnett, Gwinnett County is where, we live, Nene and we live in that county. And I'm like, word, for some reason I thought it was like in the inner city of Atlanta, and I just wasn't, up for just taking that drive out there. So when she said it, I was like, bet. So I told my husband, switch gears. We going to Nene's spot. And it was cool. The music was bumping. It was loud. It's kind of like a club feel vibe, I guess, because it was a live band. So if any of you familiar with the new, this app called Bigo, I kind of just joined that. So this week I've been playing Wilding Out on that. So I went live kind of on there last night from it, but that thing be draining my battery. My Instagram been acting crazy. So I wasn't on there, but Bigo, I was on there. So I was kind of showing, some stuff that was popping off, back there, at the Lenithias. But yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's real cool. It was nice. And the food was pretty good. I didn't have any alcoholic beverages. I had, just a sweet tea. So I didn't drink any. I'm one of those, I'm not much of a drinker. My husband and I both aren't. We kind of more on the casual every now and then type situation. So we didn't have any alcoholic beverages, but I was just enjoying just the vibe, the ambiance. It was just cool. They had heavy security there. The crowd, like we had to do a reservation. So the crowd, it was like a consistent, like a good sized crowd. So it looked like, she bringing, it looks like it does pretty well. It's a good number of people in there. There was one table she was sitting at, and like say, Nene, she was vibing, she was smoking. Okay, so you can do hookah there. So at the lounge, you do hookah. We didn't do the hookah. I ain't never done it before. So I'm like, nah, I didn't feel like experimenting. And I don't smoke. I ain't never smoked a day in my life. So I probably been a damn choke trying to figure out how to damn do the hookah. Same for my husband. So we just kind of vibed and stuff and, took pictures. And like I said, on Bigo, I kind of went live on there. But Nene was feeling, because I wondered if I was going to see her because, her husband, it had been, so when I looked it up after I left, because I wasn't sure if I was going to probably see her because I'm like, I know her husband had just passed away. But so when she walked in, I tell my husband, and I was like, oh, look, there's Nene. And he's like, how do you just recognize these people like that? But I've been living in Atlanta since 96. So here I see people so easy to where I can just easily, I'm good with faces. I might damn forget your name, but I won't forget your face. And I'm like, hell, she's so damn tall. But she walked in just casual, sat down and just was vibing and with the hookah, like she was just, doing her own thing. Then like next thing you know, I'm sitting chilling and I was like, tell my husband, oh, there go Lisa Wu. Now Lisa didn't had her butt done. So y'all remember Lisa was like a real small little thing. She, when she was on the show, her and Ed Hartwell, her ex-husband, they would be working out a lot. Remember, he was playing football And, she was a housewife and she had their little son, EJ, and she was just all about her fitness. She just had a natural body. Sis got a whole ass now. She done bought her butt. So she's a little thicker now, but she's still beautiful, had her hair in a bun or whatever. But I recognize her. She still looks the same, but with a big ass. But she still looked the same. So she was there. She was sitting at a separate booth with some people I didn't know. So I think they were just friends or whatever that she came through with. So she came in to support. But I want to say, yes, it was Margot that was over there with Nene, because I recognized the woman's face, but I didn't remember her name. But I knew she didn't have a peach. So I'm going to go with it was Margot. And if anybody knows, Margot and Nene had like a good relationship, because Margot went and was sitting over there with her there. And Ed Hartwell, y'all remember Ed had left, what he said, after Ed had left, or Lisa Wu, because from what I had heard, Lisa Wu left Ed Hartwell after them checks, when he stopped being able to play football, them checks weren't coming through. Because she said she got tired of them wondering who's going to pick up the bill when they would go out with friends on double dates, and that bill come out and their money wasn't coming in like that. So she couldn't live in them kind of conditions. So she left that. Remember, he got with Keisha Knight Pulliam, who also lives here. So my niece, she's now a freshman at TSU. She grew up going through Keisha Knight Pulliam's camp. She has a girls' camp that she does at Spelman College. So my niece did that for most of like her teenage year, for probably from the age of like 14 through 16, 7, she did it for some time or whatever. But remember, Ed got with Keisha Knight Pulliam, and while she was pregnant, remember, sis said she woke up, he wasn't there, and next thing you know, he called talking about he wasn't coming back home, he was moving out. And then we learned about him with this new chick, which I don't know who she is. And then we heard about that chick being pregnant. Well, when my sister 3 years ago was in the hospital giving birth to my niece, soon as I get there, I seen Ed with that woman in the lobby waiting for a room. So out here, there's this big hospital called Northside Hospital. So most of the celebrities have their babies at this big hospital called Northside Hospital. I had like my last 2 babies at that hospital. And they call it the baby factory, because most of the babies, I want to say most of the babies in the U.S. are delivered out of that hospital, Northside Hospital. And they deliver the most multiple births out of that hospital. So like Usher has been in there having babies. I think he was in there with one of my sister's birth of her 3 kids, like at the same time with Tamika, his ex-wife. But like I said, I live in Atlanta, so the whole celebrity life, like, I'm just immersed in it just because this is where I live. So they're just everywhere, so I got stories of seeing people, driving past people, stuff like that. But yeah, so I thought it was crazy. So as soon as I get to the hospital, Northside Hospital, my sister was in labor with my niece. She was having a scheduled C-section. So I was going to be there to support her on that. And as soon as I walk in the lobby, I seen Ed Hartwell. Now I recognize his big old head because he got a big old head. So as soon as I went up the steps, I'm like, that's Ed. And I got to see that woman who he had messed around with when he left Keisha, when because his shit, he be overlapping. And I knew that the woman had gotten pregnant. And so I seen her in the hospital. She was in labor. So she should have been born August 17th, that same day of 3 years ago. So it's 9/18, so August 17, 2018. Ed Hartwell's last child should have been born, because that woman was in active labor. But like I said, that hospital is so big to where you can't go in there and just think you finna get a room. My sister had a room already. She had been there for hours earlier that day. But Ed and his then, baby mama, I don't know if he married that lady, they were like still in the lobby, like, and sis was like really going through it. And he, I think it was her first baby. He'd been, he'd had kids before. So he kind of was just, smiling, just trying to be supportive. But I just found it so crazy that as soon as I went up the stairs, I seen his big old head. And I'm like, in there with that woman. But at least he showed up, because we all know Future ain't at nobody damn labor delivery. Let me finish getting through these comments. Red Rose says, I remember Lisa Wu and her big booty football playing ex-husband. Yes. Yeah, Lisa, she got a whole, she got a butt done. Do you watch Real House of Potomac? I don't watch that one, but I've heard a lot of, I've never got into, like, the only one I ever got into was the Housewives of Atlanta. Cause like I said, I'm here. But I know, like, I have sisters. So I'll let you know, I have sisters. They're twins. I have twin sisters. So I was just telling the story of the sister that has 3 children, just as I do. And then her twin does not have any children. So that's my other sister. Um, she's a successful real estate agent around Metro Atlanta. So that sister really liked how Real Housewives of Potomac. So she told me, like, that one be lit. Like, that's her favorite one. It'd be on and popping. So only time I hear anything dealing with that one is when it's like viral moments, fights, and things like that popping off. But that stuff just be sound like energy draining. So I might have to start kind of getting into some stuff just so I can kind of bring y'all some stuff. But otherwise, like, listen, they be doing the absolute most. The way my little energy in my life is set up, like, it just be too much that they be doing. Like, I just don't like the doggone drama. But that one, I do hear that a lot of people do like the Real Housewives of Potomac. Retro Rose says, I love Marlo. She's getting a peach this season. Yes, I'm trying to look up because I believe that was Marlo that I'm gonna say, yeah, it was Marlo. She had her hair like pulled back in a bun. Soon as I seen her, I'm like, okay, that is another person, another celebrity. And then the first name that popped in my mind is Marlo. But again, like, she's not a peach holder. So I'm gonna go with, yes, that was Marlo that I saw that was sitting at the table with Nene. But it was just a cool vibe. So even if you're not from Atlanta, like, it's definitely a place if I don't know where you live, Reg Rose, but just making a trip to Georgia. And then there's just so many different places you can check out while you're here. There was this restaurant not that long ago, maybe about 4 months ago, I saw T.I. in there. And that was right after that whole stuff broke out with him and Tiny and the girls, some people accusing them of kind of allegedly drugging them and having their way with them, stuff like that. Right after that, there's this restaurant. What is the name of it? It was in Atlanta, and a friend and I went to an event with her, and it was next door. We want to get some food, and we were just sitting, chilling. And I'm talking to her, and I look up, and I'm like, sis, look up, there go T.I. right there. So that was my first time seeing him in person. She's like, oh yeah, she had seen him in person several times before. So he was there. Deja, his daughter, was there, and Damani. I really like Damani's music. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, but the son, I like his energy. It don't seem anything like his dad's. But I saw Damani, and there was I think they were there for maybe a friend or family member's high school a graduation, because they went into this private room, and then I end up seeing this girl walk through like graduation type attire and some balloons. So my thoughts is that it was kind of like how somebody was having an event there that they were coming out to support. Tiny wasn't there. So given that I didn't see Tiny and any of her kids, because Damani, I think he got a different mom. That's not Tiny's son. So I'm thinking that whoever this was, it was something that wasn't a part of Tiny's family. It was something on a different side of the family, because the kids of T.I.'s that I saw were not Tiny's kids. But yeah, he was just chilling, at the bar or whatever. And it was my first time seeing him there. Seeing him, period, really. I mean, I've seen a lot of people. That was my first time seeing him. So yeah, but my friend was like, she sees him all the time. So, but that was my first time seeing him. So yes, I would definitely recommend taking a trip, and just in that trip and that weekend, hitting a bunch of different places. Definitely check out Lenithia. Listen, that parking. So just so you know, at Lenithia, Nene's spot, parking, they charge you have to valet park. They charge you $20 to park. Like, they literally almost got like the whole parking lot. Like, so we were talking to like the guy, when he was like, hey, you guys got a parking ticket? We're like, no, we just parked our own car. So he was explaining to us how the parking lot, I guess, is owned by somebody else. And then so they have to pay that person, I guess, to utilize parking. So Just because you got a business in that shopping center, like in that plaza, doesn't mean that you have access automatically to parking. It's weird, but $20, and it was a lot of cars. So Nene is cleaning up just from parking alone. Hey, and did you guys hear about Nene putting her house on the market for sale for $4 million? Actually, yesterday, TMZ, I think, reported it. Because after we left the club, the lounge, I started just Googling her. Another thing I didn't like about her menu, though, she don't have no desserts on her menu. So the food was pretty good. It's not a big, extensive list of food options, but it was cool. But sis didn't have she don't have a dessert menu. Like there was no desserts. Like when you go to the website, it doesn't even show anything. So that was interesting. I never experienced that because I'm the type of person, I like to have something sweet following my meal. So we end up hitting Krispy Kreme up after that. But moving on. But after I left her restaurant, I started looking her up online. Because me and my husband got to talking about her younger son, and he was surprised when I told him that the son was like only 22, because he was like, man, he looks like older. And so that's what I saw. She has her house. She put her house on the market. And then it also showed that Greg died September 1st. So I'm like, wow, yesterday was like exactly 1 month from, since he'd been gone, a whole month. But yes, Nene has her house on the market for $4 million. Nene does, like I said, she lives in the same county as me. I'm just not sure exactly where her house is, but I think I kind of have an idea. I think it's near where her boutique used to be. But beautiful home. Look that up. It's a $4 million house. Beautiful. But yeah, she got it on the market. So I'm like, okay, is she just wanting to kind of change it up? Because I would imagine most likely he probably passed away in that house. So, I mean, if he was comfortable at home, because we all knew that he was kind of not doing well. So to me, I can see that he could have likely passed away in the home. And maybe she's like, I don't want to be here anymore. I just need something else. I don't know if her something else would even be smaller to downsize, but it's a huge house. Very nice. So you guys can kind of look that up. But yeah, so I think the article I found that I was reading was a TMZ article with Nene putting a house on the market. Reg Rose says, I meant her ex-husband had a big booty. Listen, but I don't know no football players that don't, because that's part of that muscle. that's the muscle. So listen, I guess hers matching his now. I guess Lisa Wu, her butt matching the ex-husband butt, because her thing was big. That thing was big. But she had her butt to thigh ratio was all right, because sometimes that'd be off. But I mean, she looked good, overall, her whole body, she looked a little thicker or whatever. But I mean, she looked good, but definitely that wasn't a butt, that wasn't no housewives butt. So you can tell, she had some work done on her bottom half. Reg Rose says, I met T.I. and Dwight Howard when I was living in Atlanta last November. Yeah, I've never met Dwight Howard. Don't he play for a Florida team or something? So I don't know where he lives. But it's there's a lot of celebrities that are here. Mike Vick ran into him like at a gas station years ago before, he got in trouble with the whole dog thing. Then, the New Edition members like Ronnie DeVoe and him and his wife Shamia are out here. Like it's a lot of them, that lives out here, and they just, they live like people, regular people. You see them, like I said, I'm just kind of used to seeing them. So my husband's just like, you just recognize them so easy like that. And I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, and I think I'm more in tune to like, as far as the people in our culture, like with the music and the act, things like that. Like, I recognize faces, I be on YouTube a lot. So, when you see certain faces a lot, it's easy when you out and about and you see the face, you be like, oh, there's such and such. I'm waiting to run into Tasha K because she lives like we're in the same county too. Like she's by the Mall of Georgia out in Beaufort. So I was just at the Mall of Georgia this past weekend shopping with the family. So I'm just waiting to kind of run into her because I know I'll recognize her right away, out here in these streets. So, but yes, I'm gonna wrap it up. It's already been like an hour and a half live, but we all segue into something else. But I'll probably come back, like I said, and do another video on Kelly Price and her shenanigans, because that's what I'm calling it. I'm not. Mm-mm. I'm not feeling sis right now. Maybe it'll change. That album better be everything after all this, because y'all can't tell me she ain't finna have no new music coming out after all this shit. She better after all of this. So, but I may come back and try to put something together about that, or I maybe not. Depends on how I feel. You know, you just don't know what I'm gonna be doing. I just make it do what it do. So just make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when sis do go live and she coming out here with the madness in these streets, the celebrity streets, the YouTube streets. You are in the know in real time. And if not, I mean, there is always the playback. So until the next broadcast, peace.